and the other half is just around the boundary of Palestine. Only 12% are away. And in 1967, Israel went again, occupied what's left of Palestine, 22%, and occupied Sinai, and occupied Golan Heights, and occupied later southern Lebanon. So it is a process. And then they invented something called apartheid war. I mean, we call it apartheid war, they call it security war or something. You know, you have seen a lot of this. I'm not going to dwell too much on this because now we have TV, we have internet, you can see lots of that. But the purpose of this is to herd the Palestinians into 10 or 20 or 30 Gaza strips, cantons. They want to put them in small Gaza strips everywhere. They cannot move. They are separated from each other by 600 roadblocks. I don't know how you came here, but I'm sure if you come here on a road which says Jews only road, you'll be mad. If you live in a neighborhood which says Jews only neighborhood, you'll be mad. And now there are Jews only buses. Right? So it is a process. Tomorrow we'll hear something else. And this apartheid war, not only created only just to hurt the Palestinians, make their life hell, and of course if they want to leave, you are welcome. Here's the road. It's also to take their water. This is the aquifer of the West Bank, source of water. You can see the wall actually covers most of it. 90% of West Bank water is siphoned off to Israel. And all the people in the West Bank, Gaza has no water anyway, because they found it off, siphoned off everything. They have now remaining only 10% of that. Let me give you an example of the apartheid wall. You see this black line. In the middle of the black line here, there is space, open space. This is the city of Qalqilia. 50,000 people. They are surrounded from all sides except this side here, where they have one single gate for 50,000 people to leave and not to leave by permission. By permission. In the medieval age, in Europe, people built walls around them to protect them from outside intruders. And here, they built the wall to keep the inhabitants inside, not to go out. So here we have a new invention of the medieval wall in the 21st century, which is patented Israeli invention. Of course, Jerusalem is very well known to you. It is surrounded by the apartheid wall, and there were villages around Jerusalem villages which which depend on the capital of Jerusalem as their cultural, educational, and even political center. And they were prevented from reaching them because these villages have been now separated from the mother, namely Jerusalem, and they are taken away from that. The process of oppression is going on even now. Anytime. You must have heard about the Arafat Jaradat, the prisoner who only spent about 10 days in interrogation, and he was tortured to death. We have the case of Salman Abu. Yesterday, The Guardian, thanks to them, they published his letter. He is in hunger strike for 216 days. You see how could a man live like that? They force feed him the minimum just to keep alive because he would be. And so, 40% of all male population of Palestinians have been at one time or another jailed by the Israelis. If that's in Britain, if 25 people in Britain has been jailed, I'm sure the government will make a big fuss. We'll probably send the fleet, we'll send the Air Force. But by the same percentage, in England, 25 million Britons have been jailed. If you apply the same percentage of Palestinians. Imagine 25 million British people. So the situation, of course, is unbelievably cruel. Look at them, even children here. They shoot at the demonstrators, and in case the demonstrators throw something at them, they put the children as human shields. These are not my pictures. I just picked them up from the newspapers last week. So I'm sure if you dig in the internet, you'll find more horror pictures. And therefore, this is what I try to tell you. What is the nature of the crime? And this cartoon, which I like because it's very, very representative, the Israeli law of return, that is means the immigrants coming in here, it says, to those who are not from here, welcome to Israel. And who are they? Russians, Americans, Ethiopians, from the North Pole, from Amazon River, from Mars. Right? But those who are from here, why didn't you go back to where you don't come from? That's really law of return. And who are the beneficiaries? Russians in fur coats coming to live in Palestinian schools. I mean, imagine that this happens in the 21st century. Maybe it happens in the 4th century when Huns descended on Rome. You say, okay, nobody knows. There was no Al Jazeera, no CNN. But this happens in our lifetime. And therefore, we have now, all of us, a duty to reverse this. We have a duty. We are human beings. Anything happening today in the world, we are affected by it, one way or another. Even through your tax system in your country, or through the soldiers which have been sent from this country to fight somewhere, or people who react to what happens and so on. We cannot ever say that I don't care. Yeah. So we have a duty to do that. And this is the second part of my talk, is what can we do to do that? The most important and most natural and most basic thing is that everybody must be allowed to return home. In freedom, in democracy. Anything else is a corollary. People talk about state. A state is just a political act which people agree on some territory. Czechoslovakia, they have so many names, and Serbia, they have so many names. I don't care about that. I told you in the beginning, I have a simple case. They took away from my home, and I want it back. And therefore, our first duty is to work together to let people go back home. Who are they? The refugees. Do we know them today, after 64 years? Yes, we do. We know, for example, this is a village called Al-Jiyah in north of Gaza, and the blue circles are where they are exiled today. Here is another village, which is west of Jerusalem, Beit Mahsir. We know where they are living today. Here is the third village in Galilee in the north, where they are in Lebanon and Syria today. We know. We know their names, we know everything about them. We can also do the reverse. We can look at any refugee camp today and say, where they come from. Here's the famous Jabalia camp, which has been bombarded by the Israelis so many times, F-16s. Here's Jabalia, a huge military, huge refugee camp. The red points are the villages from which they were expelled. And of course, the same thing in the Hesha, which is in Bethlehem. They come from these villages. And the one in the news a lot, Ain al-Hilwa camp in Lebanon, that's where they come from. So we know. There's no problem of knowing them. Then the second question is, when they go back, is there a place for them? What Israelis always tell you, the place is full, we have so many Russians, and we brought some Ethiopians. Recently, actually, it's not a joke, they found headhunters from India, and they converted to Judaism by a dream of their chief. He dreamt that he's a Jew, so they brought them by planes, headhunters to Israel. Maybe they should be good citizens of Israel because they are headhunters. So when we did a study of the distribution of population in Israel, we found that 84% of all Israeli Jews live in 70% of Israel. Why? They still are urban. They live in the same area in which they were living during this mandate. They tried to make them farmers, failed. Kibbutz failed completely. They tried to spread them around. They wanted the city life. Anyway, that's what happened. It's a very strong, Israel today, it's a very strong urban place. 84%, 70%. And then in the rest, which is, what, 83%, who lives there? We want to examine who lives there in this large area, which is actually the land of the refugees. So I made an analysis for you. Here in the north, Jaffa and Tel Aviv, and in the middle here, this finger there is Jerusalem, and south is Gaza. These are the villages, red dots again, Palestinian villages, which have been living in this area before they were expelled. And they were expelled. So the Israelis built the blue areas instead. This is the exact built-up area today, traced from maps. This is what they built at the moment. As you can see, not much. But then who used that land? The Jewish National Fund. We took the area here. Oh, you can see it, yes. You can see it. It's horizontal lines. Jewish National Fund. What did you say? Jewish National Fund? Oh, this is a British organization. It is as charity. Those people who have gala dinners, they then come in tuxedos, women wearing jewelry and evening dresses, and they collect millions of dollars of tax exempt. To do what? To steal my land. To make use of my land. And this is called charity. Luckily for some people here, and in Australia and Canada, they actually sued the Jewish National Fund in their countries because they are domestic corporations, saying that they have violated the domestic laws, that you cannot use money, tax-exempt money, for racial or discriminating reasons. And stolen property, of course, is against the law anyway. But then they built some kibbutz in there. What's a kibbutz? This is 200-300 people who are actually claiming to be farmers, but they are all soldiers, mostly. It was originally soldiers, but now not so much. Simply to put a foothold in the land of the refugees so that they would not say, it's empty, we want to go back. Just like that. But the 83% of Israel, which is empty, is not only used by the kibbutz. The kibbutz are tiny percent of the population, 2%. It is used by somebody else. What are these red dots? Big red dots. What is this yellow area? These are military strategic areas. 55 airports, weapons of mass destruction, ammunition factories, and so on and so forth. The Israeli army controls more than 3/4 of the areas. 3/4, even more. They have the authority to take more. But at the moment, they are in control of most areas in Israel. Why is this massive military base built up? It's the biggest military base from Paris in the west to Beijing in the east. Why? It's a factory for producing wars. All the time wars. Wars. They live in wars. If there is peace, they cannot survive. And with wars, they get money, they get support, they get more land occupied, and so on. When now the Arabs are unable or unwilling to liberate Palestine, they turn to Iran. When they finish with Iran, I tell you, they will go to Pakistan. And then after that, probably go to China. And after that, they probably go to Austria. I once met a German minister. I told him, why do you always look at the Israeli guns going east? They could actually be turning west. He said, wow, how come? They turn against it. I said, it's quite possible. It's the same distance. And actually, when Austria elected a government which is not favorable to Israel, they threatened Austria. And it is quite possible. Why not? I mean, if you have the power to do what you want. So, if, of course, that we don't need this military base, we go back to the original situation where these villages can be rebuilt again in their place. And I would like to examine that even a bit further. Here are the existing population, Israeli population, in the southern district. As you can see, there are only 3 large cities which were originally Palestinian, Beersheba, Majdal, and Ashdod. They are expanded, and there is a large population there. But the rest, is very little population. If the people in Gaza recover their homes, the returning population can actually go walking. They don't need airplanes or ships. And therefore, this is not a problem of land or of territory or of this and that. I just want to tell you, I hope I did, that international law is on the side of Palestinians to return to their homes 135 times the United Nations voted for it. Longer than any resolution in the history of the United Nations. Who opposes that? Actually 4. United States, Israel, and 2 Rocky Island in the Pacific. I don't know the names actually, but anyway, they have the similar United Nations. These 4 vote against military policy. But we'll never give up. We will now, knowing what we know, we will rebuild the destroyed Palestinian villages. This is a plan we're working on. I'll tell you what we have done so far. We divided the area occupied in 1948 into 10 regions just to make a specific design for each village, whether it is on the seaside, whether it is to the mountain, the weather, and so on. So we categorize them into 10 categories, the building materials and so on. And if we build a typical village in one of the 10 areas, that should be enough for the rest of the area. And we tried this in one case. And this is a village called Beit Jirja. This picture is from the Royal Air Force, before it was destroyed. We added the green dots. Green dots are houses. We knew their names, where they live now, and who owned that house, and so on. So we are going to redesign the houses again through an international competition. Already we have about 6 universities joining that. We hope mostly young Palestinian architects will actually join this international competition to redesign their villages. And it is not at all a big exercise. The Palestinian engineers and workers in the Gulf and Saudi Arabia did more than that so many times. Here is our analysis of how much does it cost and how much does it need. We need 1 million dwelling units, maybe 1.5 million units. And the cost is here shown. And this is actually very small. I mean, the same engineers who would build this are already working in the Gulf doing something much more. For those who care about money and cost, the cost of returning the refugees is much, much cheaper than compensating them for their property. Israelis say, let the world pay them and we take the property. Let the world pay them and we take the property. And if they do that, which will never be accepted by Palestinians, it will be 10 times more cost than rebuilding the Palestinian villages. So I try to tell you that there is a crime and there is a solution. And this solution is feasible from every point of view. Why did the refugees return in Abkhazia, in Serbia, in Uganda, in Iraq, but not in Palestine? The answer is simple. I told you in the beginning of my talk, if you believe in the evils of racism, apartheid, and so on, you'll not like what I'm saying. And population, not cost, not housing, nothing. The problem is the racist policies of Israel, with apartheid, ethnic cleansing, and so on. That's the only obstacle. And since this is to me an evil, this evil should be removed. And only then justice can be replaced. I ask you to join this effort and to make the time when the justice returns to make this sooner rather than later. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Salman, very, as usual, clear and energetic talk. Any questions?
3 questions, because I have a long day today.
Very brief.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, you said that it's the racist policies.
Can I?
Can you raise your voice?
Yeah, sorry. You said that it's the racist policies of Israel that create the problem, but if it was just...
No, just speak up.
Yeah, sorry. You said it's the racist policies of Israel that create the problem, and I'm just wondering, if it was just a nation with a crazy policy doing whatever they want, they would have stopped it already. So I don't think that it's the cause is just racism, because racism comes out from certain interests, and if it's just Israel, then the solution will be here already, but there are other countries who benefit financially from it, like the US. So unless we, because I feel like the solution comes from politics, because it's not that Israel is just a crazy nation and they can do whatever they want. They don't have such power. It's not like given to them as a divine thing. It's given to them because of the whole system, how it works. And since it works in this non-humanitarian way, that's basically current economic systems that are around in the world. So I believe that we have to target on changing the state and changing politics towards humans, because it's not only Palestinians, there are so many other people who are treated unfairly just because of the system. Thank you.
I think if I got you right, you are saying it's not only racism of a small group of people, but other people like the United States have an interest in that. This establishment of a military base, it said their policies, and of course on the other side there is the Jewish lobby, who yesterday, or I think today in Harris, saying the congressmen in the United States are going to elevate Israel into supreme special ally. I agree with you. It's not straightforward, because otherwise the United States would say, why should I pay you $130 billion when my people do not have hospitals and schools? There is a movement now in the United States, small movement, it's growing, in buses. They say, if you stop that aid to Israel, we can have more schools and hospitals. So yes, you are right. But actually, Europe in general also is a culprit in this. They are always doing the bidding of the United States. They know very well. Nobody doesn't know what's going on. European consuls in Palestine, you don't need that. OCHA, which is Office of the Coordination of the Human Rights, the United Nations, you can see it on the internet. They write reports daily about all these atrocities and what's going on. So everybody knows. Now why they are silent? Because they have interest in that. And it is upon the majority of the world, we are the majority of the world, to say you cannot keep committing this crime any longer. We know in the Second World War, people were against crimes committed, and they fought against it. Why should they not fight against it today?